Welcome to the Ejectables, the show where movie enthusiasts Bill, Ian, and Joe join forces with a rotating weekly guest to defend films that the critics and our audience have panned. And tonight's guest is Mickey McLaughlin.
Hey,
welcome, Mickey.
What's up, everyone?
Welcome. Yeah. Great to see you again, Mickey. How have you been?
I've been awesome, Joe. It's good to see you guys. Stoked to be here.
And I hear you've been very busy. You actually are the executive producer of two wonderful flicks. One is on Max called Revealed, and the other is 50-50 Flip. It's a series on Hulu. Hulu?
Yeah, those are my two babies. I'm really excited. Check them out on Hulu and Max.
We'll put the links in the description below.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
Yeah, awesome. That'll be awesome. So, Mickey, you had us watch a movie called Samurai Cop. Can you talk to us about this movie and why it really deserves to see the light of day?
I love that you pulled up the poster. That's so dope. Okay,
movie.
This is a movie about it was made in 1991. It was like direct to VHS, and no one saw it. It was it's like an action buddy cop movie. But it really, I think, embodies the so bad it's good genre. Like, this is the movie of that genre of so effing bad. It's so good. Like, it is the top of those movies. It was made for $7,000 in 1991.
Oh, you can't tell
it. You can't even tell.
What did they spend the other $6,900 on?
That's a great question. Probably
I think the choreography, the fight choreography.
It was on the multiple women's wigs that they made the lead male character wear.
Because he cut his hair. I found out that he cut his hair later, and then they brought him back. It's like, we got to reshoot. And he had already cut his hair, so they got this woman's wig for him, right?
And that was the thing, is that, he had they had wrapped it up. Well, this is like for way later. But yes. So the first shot you see of this hero in the movie, he's wearing this woman's wig. You're like, oh, how interesting. And that's not it. That's his real hair. That's what he cut off. But anyways.
He had great hair when he had hair.
Yes, but his agent asked him to cut it off after filming Wrapped. But Matt Hannon, stage name, who is the lead character in this. He is a cop, but he's not necessarily a samurai, which is like one of the biggest problems with the movie in and of itself. So it being so bad it's good is like really a huge part of this movie's charm. Like, it's a super low budget attempt at like a martial arts / cop thriller, but everything about it. I mean, everything, like from the acting, from the insane, bizarre dialogue that no human would actually ever utter in any human situation. And the completely amateur, like, if two kids were to have a fake fight, it would be better than the fake fighting that's in this movie. And then the glaring, absolutely insane continuity errors that, like, you could actually make a drinking game out of, because, like, it will go from scene to scene where someone's in an outfit and they'll exit frame and come back into frame in a completely different outfit or fucking headpiece, like different wig. And it's so it makes it delightfully entertaining. And I will say, as a storyteller, as I know probably all of us are in various stages of our careers, right? Like, this is the exact opposite of anything and everything you should ever do when making any form of story. And that's what makes it delightful. And I know that when you guys watch it and you're sitting at home, right? You're sitting at home in your houses by yourself watching it, and you're just like, I can't believe how bad this is. This is not fun at all. Fuck Mickey for making me watch this. I can't believe Mickey thinks this is a fun movie to watch.
I hate you before I met you.
It's painful that I'm going to turn it off. I don't care if I'm doing a podcast tomorrow. Fuck Mickey and his movie suggestion. And I understand that, because when I watched it by myself in preparation to be on your guys' podcast, I was like, I texted Bill. I was like, Bill, man, this is bad. I forgot how bad this was. And I'm in my house by myself watching it. And it was funny for the first, 20 minutes as I'm remembering.
Oh, that long.
Samurai Cop. And then, and because I knew going in, I'd seen it. You know what I mean? It's a movie I've enjoyed. But here it is. And I say this to everyone watching. When you watch this movie, this is not a movie that's meant to be watched by yourself. You don't watch this on your own and say, this is a guilty pleasure of mine. I enjoy the filmmaking, even everyone else thinks the story's a dud, whatever it is. Like all of our guilty pleasure movies where you're like, you know what? I like Universal Soldier and I'm not, actually I don't, but there are people who do. And those people, you know, they're proud of that movie. They love it. And that's good for them. Or like, you know, my ex loved Twilight, you know, and it's a terrible movie, but that was the thing that she loved. And she had every right to love that. But let me say this, is that this is a movie that is really got, after its terrible debut in 1991, and it was forgotten about for years and rediscovered on VHS, it started gaining a cult following. It was like one of those. And then it started to have midnight showings. And I worked with a friend of mine named Tim Cooper. I will always be thankful to Tim Cooper for bringing me this. They had a showing at the Silent Movie Theater on Fairfax in Los Angeles. Yeah, I love that theater anyways. It's always so much fun stuff to see there. That's not a silent movie. And I went, and we had all went out for drinks beforehand, and we all showed up, and they're serving booze, and they had a bunch of celebrities showed up to, like, you know, make fun of it. And the cast, some of the cast, Matt Hannon was there to talk about it and answer questions before and after the movie. But it was one of those things that as a group, if you have friends over your house and you know, hey guys, we're going to watch a movie that's ridiculous, that was done so poorly, it's going to make all of us laugh. It's like as if this is a movie that would have turned out if all the producers in the world actually listened to the network notes that we get. If we actually listened to the network notes, this is what it would turn out to be. Like, it's so awful. So seeing it for the first time, I remember asking my friend Tim Cooper, I was like, dude, what is it about? I was like, Samurai Cop. So it's a samurai that's a cop. And he was like, no, not exactly. And he was so spot on in saying that. And he was like, you just kind of have to see it. And I was like, no, but what is it like? What is it? He's like, I really can't say anything besides just you have to see it to understand. And like, he's like, I don't want you to go in thinking anything, you know, besides just being ready to see it. So I showed up having no idea what this movie was, and seeing it in a theater full of LA professionals. I have never laughed that hard at a movie in public in my life. And it was because all of us, as storytellers combined, watching it in and out of every scene, the terrible decisions, the terrible acting, the terrible dialogue, the friggin' one-liners. Like, everything was done the exact opposite. It was like Bizarro Land. It was done the exact opposite of how a movie should be made, how a scene should be shot, how a movie should be written. And we were all dying laughing. So, and everyone I know who loves seeing this movie, it's because they had a watch party at their house, or they went to someone else's watch party and they didn't know what they were getting into, and sat there and with other people who love to tell stories and make TV or film to like really get into it and like fucking laugh at every single scene at exactly how bad it is. Because like in my mind, like if any individual literally set out to say, I am going to make the worst movie possible, I don't know if they could actually make a movie worse than this.
Yeah.
And that is what to me makes it delightful, is that when like I even was watching it the other night and sending clips to Bill, like laughing out loud, where like it's so obvious that like this person, this director, and this is the thing, and this is what Matt Hammond said at one of the screenings, the star of the movie, was that like he was like, this director, he really thought he was making a serious piece of cinema.
Oh my God.
He took it so seriously. It meant everything to him. To like, he idolized movies like Lethal Weapon, and he wanted to do that. And he spent his life, and in Iran, he was actually supposedly like a serious director. Okay, that's hilarious.
He's great.
All right.
He's the best
Okay,
part of the film.
I have ADD. Don't get me going on a tangent, Joe, with your little.
Do you have a favorite? Do you have a
That is
favorite
part of the
scene? Can I
delight.
tell you? Let me tell you my favorite scene, and then you can tell me yours. My
All right,
favorite
but
scene.
first, let me tell you that. Let me react to that, and then
Okay.
you go. Because
Yeah.
that, everyone who's watching, Joe is backing up exactly what I'm saying, is because a scene would be happening, and then you would get a cutaway like this, and these are the reaction shots. These are the cutaways during a scene, but they would stop the dialogue, and then it would just sit in silence, and the guy go, you go. As if those are supposed to be different reactions to different shots that they were supposed to intercut, that they were supposed to slide in between, but they played the whole thing as one reaction shot while people weren't talking.
Oh, wow.
So the sound would go dead, and then that guy would do that.
Did you notice, Mickey, that whenever a man like killed somebody, the women, there were like at least two instances in which the women heap on the praise. Good job. They kept heaping on the praise.
In a helicopter that was on the ground with an eyeline that was looking the wrong way. Great job.
Great job.
Yeah. And then he's like, fake driving.
Did you see? Weren't they all awkwardly close to the dashboard? I was like, what's going? Why are they so like this in the car? Like for the light from the window? I was like, I don't know.
Oh, like it had to be like this.
Yeah, like
I don't know because the crew was in there. It was really weird, right? Where instead of framing the shot properly, they're like, "Oh, gosh darn it, we brought the 50 mil and we need the 16, so get in there real tight."
That's what it was so weird. Oh. So 2 minutes in, I messaged these guys. I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know. I'm going to try to do it. And I was like, is this a joke? Is this for real? I'm not cool of this is so bad it's good. I've never seen The Room. Doesn't appeal to me. It just feels like, well, this is my life.
And I'm not a fan of those movies either. Just
okay. Like, I'm just like, I put it in the screen, I screen it as, oh man, on my deathbed. Well, I'd be like, I wish I had sat through all of Samurai Cop. So I made it to 11 minutes and 39 seconds. And I'm like, I can't do it. There's this dialogue. The helicopter lady says to him, she says, okay, Joe, keep it up. Joe says, oh, it's up and ready. Just keep it warm. She replies, it's warm and ready. Did they think that was funny and witty or quick? I don't know.
I don't know. The stereotype, like, it's super dated in terms of its stereotypes of women and people of color. Yeah. And like the whole, like all those situations, like that horny, like cop buddy. But yes, they're in the middle of a car chase where they're supposedly being shot at, which was done on clearly different days, different roads,
different exposures, different
lenses, different frame, like different everything. Like this thing was shot clearly over a month.
I love how they sped up car chases to make it look like they were going faster.
So, and that's the thing. It's to think, hey, I'm being shot at, and I'm yelling, shoot him, right? And the guy's out the window shooting, and then she's like, good job. It's that stuff that you just said. Like, it's like, oh, keep it up. It's like, oh, it's up and ready. Like, I died laughing at just how awful that is on 13 different levels of everything. And that way, this is a thing that was written, rewritten, went through notes, went through approval process. The director is like, this is good.
I think he self-financed it. That's what I heard.
Probably. I don't know. But like,
I mean, Ian, did you watch the hospital scene?
I got
the best scene. Was absolutely amazing. Well, two things. There was a time when, like, this guy, he's going to question this guy who's like burned almost alive, right?
And he's like, burned and he can't even speak.
Hitting on the nurse.
Yeah.
And he tells her to keep it warm.
Oh, no.
It's a famously bad scene.
It's a famously bad scene.
That was my
compared
favorite
to the good ones.
That was great. So they tell him that they're like, there's the guard there, and they're like, make sure nobody comes into this room. And he's like, don't worry. And of course, like a nurse dresses up and has this like this table under which one of these.
It was like a laundry, but it was really like a laundry bin that faked as the table, right?
Right. And there was like her accomplice was underneath there. So the guy had gotten burned. Like he was all completely on fire. And then so he's lying in bed, this guy, and they're like, he can't talk because his lips are burned and he's covered in gauze and there's blood gushing from his head.
And the funny thing is that he's hitting on the girl at the time.
Like
and
a
then
melted
probably he's like, so how's the guy doing?
And then
Like,
she's
he's shooting on her and doesn't get to the point of the scene. And it's like, hey, and then you cut to a shot where some of the $7,000 was spent on the bubbly ooze coming out of the burn victim's like face.
And then she asked him if he's circumcised. It was so crazy.
I know. What was up with that? And then she's like challenging him, like, you're not big enough for me. Like, where is this coming from?
How long into the movie was this?
Oh, it was like 20 minutes in.
At the midpoint.
I could have
midpoint because this burn victim could have given up the big boss. And that's what's funny is like
I can't believe you even followed that. I had no idea what was happening. I can't believe you even followed that.
Well, that was the thing, is that this person was like, well, that was okay. Back up. You guys are jumping all over. I have ADD and you guys are jumping all over.
Well, the film jumps all over the place in all fairness.
It doesn't make any sense.
So there's this big boss bad guy, like gang member land, right? And he has this guy, Robert Sadar, who had been in other things and considered himself a serious actor, and he tried to take his role as the bad henchman very seriously, and it was so out of place because he was completely surrounded by buffoons, including the boss. And there was this fight scene outside this restaurant where Samurai Cop confronts them, and he's supposed to be confronting the bad guy, and he goes on this weird political speech like he's friggin' Zoolander. Like, it makes no sense. He's like, and you don't know about the things and the times and like whatever. And then he's like, and you, what are you doing here? You look like a nice girl hanging out. Like, what do you do? Like, it's like it goes from like all these things and all these bad guys, right? And then the dude stands up and he like, and he scares them away and they go outside. So then he sends all his henchmen after these guys. And they start to arrest him and fake fight and like beat each other up. And like, so, and he's like, oh, they're not going to arrest my guy. Like, you free them dead or alive. And then, so he just goes and he fake shoots them all, like 8 of them. And then one of them gets lit on fire. And this guy is the only one who survives. And that's the guy who's in the hospital.
And do you want to tell you what happens to him?
In the history of film. And it is so bad that it deserves to be celebrated for its awfulness. Like
Joe, what happens to the burn victim?
Yeah, what happens to the burn victim?
What happens to the burn victim?
The burn victim. Okay, so the burn victim. This is what's amazing. So even though it's like, hey, babe, what's going on? You know, and she's like, well, how big is it? And she starts making. She doesn't even see him, and she's like making fun of the fact that he doesn't have a dick. And are you circumcised? It's so weird. And it's like, well, anyways, how about this guy? And he can't talk because he's burned mostly alive. And so they're like, well, let me know if that changes. So then a fake nurse in a stripper nurse outfit shows up, pushing a laundry cart that's like covered with what's supposed to be medical equipment of some sort. And then she pulls back a sheet and literally like that big henchman dude stands up out of the laundry cart and holds up his samurai sword, but it's not a samurai sword. It's a short sword. It's like literally this. It's like a child's samurai sword. It's like a long dagger. And you're just like, are you kidding me? And he gets out and he looks at the guy who's like, and he grabs him. And then he starts to slowly try, like you like, look, it looks like he's trying to like cut a piece of bread, like a slice of bread. And like they cut away to it as he's like, and the girl's like they didn't tell her what she was supposed to be reacting to, which is a human head being cut off, which you see none of. And her reaction to it is like Like she's strangely turned on and strangely disturbed, but not really bothered at all at the same time. And then he turned, and then like all of a sudden out of the camera, like this guy hands her the sword, and she takes an entire bed sheet and wipes the blood off.
Yeah.
With an entire bed sheet off of the thing, and then he takes a head that's all wrapped up in gauze and oozing and wraps it in said sheet and hands it to her, and then the motherfucker climbs back in that laundry cart and like squishes down, and she puts the sheet back over him, and then they roll away as if like that. Like the dude was already dead. Like he was never going to talk again. And they don't even explain what this guy can reveal about anything, because the only time you've seen this person, I love that. That shot of Matt Hands, great. The only time you've seen this person is that fight scene at the restaurant when he's hitting on the woman who's at the table, and you don't know why, because she's the restaurant owner. Why is she surrounded by all the gang members? And like it makes it, I don't know if I intentionally tried, if I could make something make less sense. It's like they turned one of Trump's political speeches into a major motion picture and followed it verbatim.
Oh, wow.
Like it's that much of a fucking disaster shit show of how much it doesn't make sense. And then, right? Like, let's talk about the fight scenes, right? There's these guys, like you see the guy, like that's a promotional picture, like that, him with the sword. He actually doesn't know how to sword fight. The sword fight at the end is so pathetic. It's like two little kids in a driveway playing with fake lightsabers. Like, let's take two sticks and pretend we're Jedis. Like, that is the level of fight choreography with this. But at the same time, at the same exact time, every time you cut to a shot of someone who's like, it's as if like the background changes. Like, oh, they're not in the same spot anymore, are they? Like, it goes from lush forest to desert to like bamboo leaves. Like they shot it in 5 different locations over multiple months. And you can tell that this is some of the things. This is what's hilarious. We started with the wig at the beginning, Joe. You brought it up, right? Here's the thing is that lead character's wig, the first shot that he's in the wig because it's a pickup shot. That's his real hair that they cut off. I wish you had a shot of him in the wig. Anyway, it's in this fight sequence. One of the things that when the director called him months after wrap to say, hey, by the way, we need to do a couple of pickup shots, is what they told him. And he was like, well, I already cut my hair. And the director melted down, flipped out. And even though it's because it was a $7,000 budget, he went to a wig store, and the only thing he could find was this woman's wig that looked nothing like the guy's original hair. And in this fight scene were a lot of the pickups, this big, monumental, like there's 2 big fight scenes that come to the end of this movie. And in both of those, I had to do multiple pickup shots for. So from shot to shot, there is a fight and he looks like me. And then in the next shot, he has the wig on. And then in the next shot, he's him. And then in the next shot, he has a wig on. And then they tried to hide it with a hat. And then they put him in the headlock and the hat and the wig come off. And they didn't edit around it. They didn't edit around it.
I was so confused.
It's a fucking movie.
I had no idea watching the beginning. And as you know, I didn't sit beyond 11 minutes. I just make a recommendation to our audience. Don't watch the movie. Just look at Mickey talking about it here. It is way more entertaining. The production value of this video feed is way better.
That's the wig. You got it. And that's the wig that they made him shit it with. And they tried to hide it with the worst baseball hat in the history of baseball hats.
That's so bad.
And it's so bad. So anyways, in that hospital scene that we talked about is one of the most, and then is the most memorable of it. But
and
then
she's carrying around his
like,
head in a yellow plastic bag. That was kind of cool for whatever reason. Why was she carrying around the head? Do we know?
Oh, I don't know, because they wrapped up in the blanket. Well, because the guy said he demanded it. He demanded it to be
on the piano.
On his piano. He wanted it on his piano. I want his head on this piano right now.
I should have sat through the whole thing. It sounds like I missed some good stuff.
Riveting, right?
Riveting. Can we talk?
It would have been more fun if the 4 of us watched it together and did a Mystery Science Theater 3000 to it.
That's an
idea. They used to do this thing at in LA, and if you ever get to go to it, Doug Benson's A Movie Interrupted.
Yeah.
It's friggin' hilarious. Where Zach Galifianakis, Sarah Silverman, Adam Scott, a lot of those people show up, and they'll live comment on the movie as you're watching it, and it is what it says. All the things you're thinking, but in the most funny way, and way funnier than you could actually think them about said movies. So if you're ever in LA and see one of those, actually check it out for sure.
So Ian, do you have a good movie that we could talk about?
All right, fine. I guess we don't get to finish up my thing.
No.
People are dying to know how the plot finishes, Bill.
I know.
They're just dying to know.
Tell us.
Samurai actually samurai. All right, wait, no, time out. Before we move on, I just have to say that this guy's supposed to be a samurai. He's a samurai cop.
No, he's from San Diego. That's all they say about him.
Moron from San Diego.
They're like, katana, what's that? I don't know. Ask him. He's fluent in Japanese. Katana. That means Japanese sword.
A Japanese sword.
Is that the end?
No.
No, it's the middle, Ian. Don't you know?
Oh, for me,
the end.
Yeah.
The end is the worst fight scene that has ever been filmed in Hollywood history. But anyways, there is a cult status that follows this movie. Obviously, you can see my enjoyment. I did try to rewatch it by myself, and I will say it's a complete letdown when you're on your own. Find 4 great people, or 3 great people like the people I'm talking to now. Find friends who know film, who know storytelling, or just who enjoy movies. Have a couple of drinks, watch this movie, and laugh and enjoy at how ridiculously bad it is.
I could see it back in the college days, when, I'm not a pot smoker, but back then I did a few times, and I could see that would have been fun.
Oh yeah, Bill told me that I needed to get very, very, very high if I was going to watch this.
There's no other way you could see value in it.
No, and I think if anyone is studying film, watch this as something to know what you should never do, how you should never write a script, how you should never have incomplete or nonsensical story or dialogue, and just gratuitous sex and nudity for the sake of it. Or racial stereotypes that are terrible, and female stereotypes that are terrible, and just everything. If you boil down the worst tropes of a buddy cop movie, boil them down to the worst of the worst.
Though there's good lessons, how to speed up. You can speed up your video and make it look like someone's rolling out of a van at high speeds, but you're doing it very safely. So there's good lesson there.
Yeah, maybe.
Ooh. Well, thank you, Nikki.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. I liked it better than Ian's flick.
Whoa!
I did. I would watch Samurai.
I could say that about a lot of Kristen Stewart's movies.
That is hurtful.
I'm
okay,
sorry,
Ian, you're next.
It's nothing personal.
At least I didn't suggest a Kristen Stewart movie.
Yeah. Okay, so this movie, it's called Underwater, directed by what's his name, William Eubank. It was filmed in 2017, was shelved, and was finally released in 2020. It kind of trickled out. It had an $80 million budget. It made
$80 million for this?
It maybe got $40 million back in the end. I had no expectations going in, but I gotta say, this movie has got great production value. I don't think it's amazing, but it's perfect if you want to watch a fun sci-fi underwater horror movie. It's about this crew of oil drill people. They go down in this big trench, and their drill starts to break apart, and they're like, "Oh, why is this happening? We have to find another way to get back to the top of the water so we don't die." But it turns out something's breaking everything.
It's like large-scale Titan submersible.
Yes. And it's like these sea monkeys are attacking them under the water. These scary-looking sea monkeys. Now, it's got some wonky CGI, but they're kind of in the dark, so I think it works pretty well. And I think the dark, scary water way down below is effectively kind of creepy. The movie is not brilliant, but it's fun. Great production value. And obviously, TJ Miller, he does his thing. I think he did some creepy stuff. I'm not quite sure. But
he is no longer. He's in the Hall of Damnation.
Okay. Oh. In this, he was effectively funny. It feels a bit shoehorned.
He was good at what he did on screen. He was bad at what he did off screen.
Yeah, I don't even. Yeah, I heard he was canceled. I
He's
wasn't sure why, but it sounds deserved.
Yeah.
But in this, he was funny and it was effective. He's he's like the Bill Paxton. If you want to say this is Aliens, he's Bill Paxton in this, and it's well acted. I don't hate Kristen Stewart. She gets a lot of hate. I think it's not warranted.
She's better than she gets credit for.
Yeah,
she gets a lot of hate for those earlier bad decisions.
Yeah, she has a movie called Personal Shopper. I think that's the name of it. That's really, really good. I recommend that.
Okay.
But this was, I thought, a fun movie, good production value, and I recommend it if you're in the mood for sci-fi escapism.
Yeah, I liked how they shocking, like the claustrophobia feeling of it, like for underwater movies, like
Leviathan. Yeah,
thank you. I don't know why.
That's a good movie. That'd be a
great movie, or The Abyss.
That'd be a good pick, Ian.
Those ones, or like Alien, where you feel like you are in a claustrophobic area and the world is about to like be crushing down on you. Like, I will say the production value in terms of that, like they did do a really good job, and it does look really good at times. Like, we're just like, this has a good look to it.
Yeah.
And I think it's better than it gets credit for.
Agreed.
I agree.
Yeah.
Solid B plus.
Yeah. And Kristen Stewart, for all the flack she gets, I don't hate her. I think she's done some good stuff. I think that she has a lot of baggage attached to her that's unfortunate. And if you didn't know the baggage, you may approach her movies with a more open mind. Yeah. I think people go in with a predisposition of like wanting to dislike her or dislike anything she's a part of for whatever reason.
I think that's why it failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really a shame because she has done some good stuff.
Joe, what's your thought on it?
Well, I loved the opening credits, actually. I liked the font that they used and the special effects on the opening. And I will agree with Mickey. Like, I did get a sense of her claustrophobia. Like, I bought her sense of tension, and that was good. But I had trouble maintaining interest, unfortunately.
Yeah, it would have been better with Steve Guttenberg.
Of course, everything would be.
I'd be better with this guy.
Him, this guy.
That would have been fine.
That guy.
Yeah. That would have been fine.
Oh my God.
Joe, so Joe, what's your movie?
My movie, of course, is Chances Are.
I remember that from back in the day. I haven't watched it in a while.
Did you watch it, Mickey?
No, not recently. I couldn't actually find access to it online.
Oh, that's
so
okay.
I apologize. But I do remember it from back in the day.
So essentially, this is a gem that I think surpasses many of today's films. Its charm and unique take on love and reincarnation make it super special. I loved everything about this. I think it was, number one, it was like an all-star cast. You got Cybill Shepherd, who was really in her prime, and it was nice to see her go beyond her Maddie from Moonlighting, right? She has a lot of range. She has great comedic timing, as she always has. She's great. Robert Downey Jr. is amazing. And then you have Watts, Mary Stuart Masterson. I mean, Mary Stuart Masterson alone in this flick makes it worth watching. Ryan O'Neal is also really good. I don't care for Ryan O'Neal, but he did a great job in this flick. It was fantastic, I thought. Very sweet movie.
It was so surprisingly okay. First of all, it is not The Pickup Artist. I've realized
that's actually a good movie. That's actually a good movie.
I always confuse them, but this was very charming. What I really loved about this movie is that no one was bad. Everyone was nice. I was waiting for the shoe to drop and Ryan O'Neal, maybe did bad, but he was just decent.
He's in love with her, and he's not even a jerk about it. Like, he's
sweet.
It's very, very, very sweet. Yeah.
And there's this weird, like, there's just a couple of moments when Robert Downey Jr. first realizes that he is her dead husband. I thought that happened too quickly. Like, it's just he came to terms with it really fast. I was like,
See, I thought that was well paced because remember, like, he remembers bits and pieces. So there's a scene he's at their dinner and and they're also, what's interesting, they're also being very, very open to this guy. They're inviting him into their home. They don't know him
to stay over. It's crazy.
Get to stay over, right? But the thing is that what makes sense with that is that there is that familiarity, which they say that we do have with people that we have past life connections with. There's like this deja vu. You seem familiar. You feel like home, right? So they let him stay in, and he's having dinner, but he's noticing, like, they ask him where something is. He's like, oh yeah, it's left side drawer of that cabinet. Like, so he gets it bits and pieces, Ian, right? It's not like automatic. And then, you know, he gets more and more of his memory back because they forgot to give him that inoculation, which I thought was a really cool.
Yeah, that was cute.
Yeah.
And Ryan O'Neal, how Cybill Shepherd went from like being romantic with Robert Downey Jr. and then suddenly, I'm going to make out with Ryan O'Neal. That
was weird.
Not smooth moments.
That was weird, and that was really awkward for me because I really, really want. Number one, I don't really like Ryan O'Neal that much, and I love Robert Downey Jr. And it was weird seeing her and him. Like, you thought that they were going to get it on, and that was going to be awesome, right? Because they have amazing chemistry. And then she winds up. Yeah, that was a little weird. Her jumping into Ryan O'Neal's arms so quickly.
I think they needed to create some sort of conflict or competition, so it wasn't just obvious that she was going to go back. You know what I mean? Or that she was going to be with Robert Downey.
Well, she didn't. That's the thing that really
I think
made me very sad.
They tried to force that in. But that's one thing I will say that about this movie is that this is something that Hollywood has done a lot. Like, this movie is something that has been a genre or something or storyline that they have explored in many different ways. And while watching this, I remember thinking, like, this one is so unique in and of it to itself. And they're doing it really well. It didn't make me think that this is tired. I was like, I like this. This is creative. This is like unique. I'm invested in each one of these people. And I like that. Yeah, there was no bad to any of it.
Agreed.
And it like made you feel good throughout.
And executive produced by Andrew Bergman, my hero.
Oh, really? Good to know.
Wrote The In-Laws.
Look at Bill dropping the knowledge as usual.
It was a great flick, and she's amazing. Mary Stuart Masterson is amazing.
Oh my God, who didn't love her back then?
Can I share my slightly sad Mary Stuart Masterson story really fast?
Please.
I worked in a movie theater on Broadway and 19th Street in New York City in like the late 90s, and she came to the popcorn stand as a concession dude, and she was going to see Wag the dog, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Mary Stuart Masterson. I'm like, I just got married. I'm like, my wife loves you. Why haven't we seen you lately? Like, what a horrible thing to say.
What'd you do? What?
I feel so bad. To this day, I still feel bad. I'm like,
how did she respond, Ian?
She's like, she was like, oh, I don't know. I've been doing some things. I don't know. And then she went to a movie. I felt like such a jerk.
And then she cried.
She probably did. I ruined Wag the dog for her.
Well, no, Wag the dog ruined itself for her.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But just lastly on that movie, I thought the whole movie were
great timing, Joe. Great timing.
Oh yeah, the reaction. He can't hook up with Mary Stuart Masterson because she's technically his daughter. Then suddenly at the end, we're supposed to accept. Oh, it's okay. It's kind of creepy though that he's going to hook up with her.
See, it's okay. I felt that it was okay that he was hooking up with her at the end because remember when he gets put in the hospital, he gets that shot finally that makes him forget, and that made it okay for me.
But we didn't forget.
Sorry, Ian.
We didn't forget.
We're looking through it from his perspective.
It was a different body, right? It was a different.
No. It was Robert Downey Jr.'s. Their past lives and everything. He never even met his daughter, so because he had died by the time she was born. But
Shooter McGavin died.
Yeah. So at the end, when they do get together, I don't like Ryan O'Neal with Cybill Shepherd. I thought she should have been with Robert Downey Jr., but I could stomach him with Mary Stuart Masterson because again, like we're looking at it through his eyes, and this is what a great artist and actor Robert Downey Jr. is. When they are together and he knows that she was his daughter in a past life, there's no chemistry, and both of them are like they could have chemistry with cereal boxes, both of them, right? So when he gets that shot and he forgets, like all of a sudden they are a great couple, which you would imagine they would be due to both of them being who they are.
But what about just another slight creepy moment? Mary Stuart Masterson. So Ryan O'Neal has just hooked up with Cybill Shepherd, which he's wanted to do for 20 years. And then Mary Stuart Masterson goes to Ryan O'Neal and she's like, oh, tell me, I want to hear everything, all the dirty details. I'm like,
yeah, that's a little weird.
Know about that?
I wouldn't want to know about my mother's things.
I wouldn't either.
You know, yeah,
That's
yeah,
all.
that was strange.
But I enjoyed it a lot.
Bill, what did you
just
choose?
so everyone's watching, when you guys see Samurai Cop, you will think that joke is so much more funnier than you think it is right now.
Don't do it.
Do it
Bill!
with a bunch of friends.
Watch Chances Are.
Watch Chances Are. It's a great flick, and it'll teach you even about past lives and reincarnation. What
It
could
is
go
charming.
wrong?
It's charming. Bill.
All right,
Bill,
Bill,
what flick
let's
did
talk
you
about
do?
Jennifer Connelly and Frank Whaley's.
Oh, I know. We need to talk about Jennifer Connelly.
So I well, that's so my pick is Career Opportunities. It was right after Home Alone. It was John Hughes wrote it. I think it went through some major reshoots. I think people were disappointed that it wasn't a big hit. It bombed at the box office. It's very well shot. Donald McAlpine shot it. He's like one of the best DPs ever. So I was like, this is amazingly shot for a John Hughes movie. I think he was trying to fit two type of movies, the Home Alone and the teen angst one.
That's
I think,
a good point.
I think it gets better over time. Frank Whaley, you know, and if you read the original script, it's online and it's this perfection. And the film is like a not as good version as the script that he wrote, but still there's a lot of great stuff in there. And it's very intimate and small. And I just can't believe Universal Pictures would make this. It seems like crazy that they would make it. I think it was
shelved. Like, because when this came out, this was 91. I think that came out, right? Like, I guess so it falls into that like coming of age time of your life, Bill. So like, what was it like about you that like was drawn to this? Like, are you drawn to it because it's something you fell in love as a teenager, or is it something you like enjoyed later in life?
Later in life, I think that
it really is like where are we now? Coming of age. Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do in my life. Maybe I'm going to reach for the stars. Maybe I'm going to phone it. Like, it really does tap into that. Like, no matter where we come from, like, you want to like do better than where you came from, or you wish you had it better than you could have, or maybe if things were different. Like, it really does tap into that what am I going to do with my fucking life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you want to do something significant,
and then,
but you don't know
there's
exactly
a bunch of Home Alone stuff that happens that brings that out of them to say, oh my God, I find myself because of this weird slapstick stuff. But like, I guess for Bill, for you, what was the thing that drew you to this movie?
When I first saw it in the 90s, you couldn't even see it in the theater and went away. And then everyone watched it on video. I was like, this is boring and lame. And Jennifer Connelly's absolutely gorgeous. And the robbery wasn't really funny. The John Candy stuff was really great.
Yeah, John Candy had a great cameo.
That was great. Yes.
Come on, let's not be pervy.
I know. Let's not be pervy, Joe.
Let's not be pervy.
I feel like there's a subplot with Jennifer Connelly's dad that was totally taken out of the movie. It's like, I guess he's like the mayor, or he's like a big
he was the biggest landowner in the town.
Yeah. I feel like
there were over 10 million of property in 1991. Like, that's like, I mean, it's like fucking 500 million.
I feel like there's a somewhat missing there, but the stuff between Frank Whaley and his dad it's just so awesome. The John Candy scene, so beautifully shot. I feel like they cut out the third act, but to me, I think it's a really awesome movie. If you could find the script online, I would do so. And, yeah, I totally recommend it. I think it's one of his better movies.
I was one of the two people that saw it at the cinema, and when I saw it, I loved it. I absolutely.
Oh wow!
Me too. I saw it in the movies as well, and I loved it.
I think you were the other guy. Yeah,
yeah.
My only thought was watching it now. I was like, okay, this is like it's kind of paper thin, and I was wondering. It almost feels like a early draft of Breakfast Club 2, and then John Hughes went, forget it. And then someone else picked it up and went, we'll do something with this. That's sort of what it feels like to me. But
yeah, I think these some massive reshoots, and they shot it in Atlanta, but the beginning shot takes place on Cahuenga. So I just think they were trying to. I'm assuming it didn't test well, and they tried to save it. A lot of his stuff is cut. You know, I mean, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was 3 hours long, and what you see is an hour and 45-minute movie. So he's he's not precious about his words or his plot points.
It's a fun
It's a shame.
Yeah, and Mickey, you raise a really good point because both of them are really lost. Both of them are scared. She's afraid to tell her dad off, and he's afraid to move out of his home. And together, because they're in opposite but yet similar scenarios, in finding each other, they resolve each other's problems because she has more money.
Yeah,
than
it triggers
God.
growth within themselves to like find their true versions of each other, which is pretty cool. And especially back in 91 when I was like a freshman in college when it came out, like it hit me at the right time in life because I had a dad who was not happy with the choices I was making. Even though I was in college, I wanted to be in acting. I wanted to be in TV. I wanted to do like entertainment industry stuff. And he was just like, you're never, like back in those days, even to say you wanted to work in Hollywood, you were like, you had a zero. It was like saying you wanted to be a professional athlete.
Yeah.
So like everything that like from my household that was thrown at me was, you're never going to amount to anything if you follow the path you're on. Right. It wasn't like today where everyone with an iPhone can like make movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like any child knows more than we did after graduating film school. You know what I mean? It's like bonkers. So it really hit at an important time in my life about the fact that you can carve your own path in life, that you can, it doesn't matter where you came from, what your high school experience was, like what choices you've made, where your house is, who the people in your house are, how they treat you, what you come from, how much money you have. Any of that is all nothing. Like there was a great quote that Frank had in the movie, Frank Whaley, where it's like the past. What was it, Bill? Can you remember this? It's like with a past, he's like the past, the present is because of the past, you know, and something to that effect. And that hit me was in knowing that, yeah, sure, the past may have led you to right now, but from right now forward, that's up to you always and forever. And it doesn't the past is erased at that point because now you get to make a decision that changes your trajectory. And that's every single day of life. Bill and I talk about this a lot. Like, you know, it just takes a choice. And that's something that I really enjoyed out of that movie that emphasizes, even though these are two teen somethings, young people coming of age, is that your life can change in a second with a choice. And that's all it takes. And that's the thing that I found was really powerful about that movie. And I will say this, on the images that you just shown, for people of our generation, outside of Princess Leia in the bikini, I'd say second to that is Jennifer Connelly.
Oh, yeah.
I had a big crush on her back then.
Oh, my God. I had such a crush on her.
Yeah.
Everybody did. I'm pretty sure.
I still do. Yeah, she's like the epitome of like what like a perfect thing is to me. Yeah, she's like so great in that. And I loved how it humanized the hot girl from high school. You know, that girl that was everything to you, like that love that you could never have, whatever. Mm-hmm. It totally humanized that thing that a lot of people could never touch, that was untouchable, that was out of reach. And it made you realize that, those people are just as human as us. Yeah. And for those hopeless romantics in the world, like that was pretty cool that she played it in such a way that you were like, oh my God, you're just as approachable, broken, and human as the rest of us. And just because you're ungodly, beautiful, and rich doesn't mean that you don't have a heart.
Have problems.
Yeah, we all have problems. And that is something that I love, is that humanize that untouchable beauty that we all look up to and put on a pedestal, no matter who or what you love, to realize that, like, hey, we're all just people here. And if you talk to each other like people, you can find that middle ground and learn from each other.
You're going to make me
cry. Like a lot of hidden secrets in that silly little John Hughes movie, but that's what made John Hughes effing brilliant, you know?
For sure. Well said, Mickey.
Thanks for making us watch Samurai Cop, Mickey.
You're welcome.
We can talk about this.
You've never had better cutaways in your podcast. You're welcome.
Never.
I didn't even make it to the cutaways.
It's a shame. It's really a shame.
It's a shame. I saw
So you heard it here first. You have to watch now. Those who are at home, you got to watch Samurai Cop. You should definitely,
But
well,
as a
according
watch
to Ian,
party, only as a watch party.
only as a watch party. You may want to watch Ian's flick that he chose.
Underwater.
Let me see. Oh, sorry. Yeah, where's Ian's flick? Did I get rid of
Water is
it?
good.
And you got so mad. No, it's underwater.
You
Look
could
at
watch
that.
Ian's flick. I do think that out of all of the films, I do think that chances are is definitely the best one that you should run to watch as
I
soon as
agree.
possible.
I agree with you.
Thank you,
It's
Ian.
it's a great date night flick. It's a
It is
great
really
date
charming.
night flick.
And of course, Career Opportunities. I mean, what a great flick. Thank you, Bill, for choosing Career Opportunities. She's amazing. He was great.
Yeah, he is great.
Yeah.
And it's short. It's super short.
Yes,
It's
which
an
I
hour
like.
22.
Yeah.
It's
So you can watch
Yeah.
it.
Exactly. All right, everybody. Thanks
All right.
for watching at home, and we'll see you next time. Be sure to like and subscribe. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Nikki.